Hello, everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerosity, and boy, do I have a cool interview for you. I've interviewed this gentleman twice before, but it's been a little over 9 years since my last interview with him, and fortunately, we were able to meet up just now. As I'm recording this, it's December of 2023. The post won't happen probably until next month sometime, but I got to talk to none other than Dave Mason. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, Dave Mason of Traffic, Dave Mason of his own solo career, Dave Mason of all the songs that he's written that you've heard other people record, like It's All Right. Yeah, he played on Along the Watchtower with Hendrix. He played with Listen to What the Man Said with Paul McCartney. It was all of his own great music, man. This guy has taken up such a huge part of my personal soundtrack of my youth that I was just ecstatic when I got to be able to talk with him for a third time, this time on Zoom. So anyway, he was in Hawaii. I was up here in the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, and we had a fabulous chat. So as always, please share this interview with your friends. If you don't mind, would you please hit the subscribe button? I need your subscriptions. It won't cost you a dime, but it helps me out a lot. And so if you would do that, I'd be eternally grateful. So without any further ado, here is my third interview with the great Dave Mason. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerosity. Take care. Well, Dave, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. It's always an honor. It's thrilled to be talking with you again. So, well, I love this cover of your own song here, man. You got some schlub on the guitar with you on that, according to this album cover here. Some little up-and-comer Pike guitar player. Tell me about that. How did that all come about?
Well, that track, Fantasy Zone, and a release that I'll be putting out. It's an album called A Shade of Blues. So I've got a couple of songs on there that have been on previous CD releases, but like I said, for the most part, personally, my stuff, I mean, you don't really sell, CDs don't sell anymore. There are no albums. There's no albums. You get streaming and, everybody's downloading that for whatever. But there is an album, and like I said, I take it out most of my stuff I take on the road anyway, because it's the only place really you can connect with people that you have new stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's on an album called A Shade of Blues, and he's on 3 tracks on this album.
Oh, wow.
And one of them I did with him 18 years ago. So yes, blues, a really cool blues shuffle that I've been sitting on all these years. So I put together this new album called A Shade of Blues, which we're trying to see if we can get somebody interested to release it. If not, I will do it myself. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. It's like I said, there's some things on there that I've put on previous CDs that I did, but I put a collection of what sort of as a blues. It's not strict blues, as you can see with this release that I've just put out with Joe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a great version, and he's great.
I find it interesting that you guys from the UK have done a great job with, I'll call it our blues, but when no one else was playing it, you guys were and took it up a notch or two, and I thank God for that, because it kept the blues alive, and that's the basis of a lot of great music, and I love it. I mean, to me, I think it's the essence of everything we listen to. How do you feel about it? Obviously, you must feel something along the same lines, or you wouldn't have done the album.
We just turned you all back onto your own music.
Thank you for doing that, by the way.
I mean, we did. We played a big part in it. I mean, we had if you want to go get into it, I mean, it really goes back to when there was segregated radio in America. We didn't have that in Europe.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what color you were, pink, black, white, whatever. Mm-hmm. We just heard great music. And then you had Radio Luxembourg, and you had the Armed Forces networks. So we heard all kinds of music. There was no what you call segregated radio.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. I mean, the British invasion is an American story. As I remind everybody, because America's where, other than Appalachian, which is deeply rooted out of Europe.
Yeah.
Rest is all American music. It all comes from here.
Who
Blues,
else?
gospel, and of course your greatest, most wonderful form of music, which unfortunately this country sort of tossed in the garbage can, is jazz.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. You get
Europe
kind
still
of,
has an appreciation for it, but it's sort of we're listening to drum beats with bad poetry and no melody.
I love how you
Yeah.
put that. That's great. So, who else joined you on to this album?
Well, Joe, of course, he's on three tracks. And then mostly that's it. It's my band, a couple of different versions of it. Trying to think who else might be on well, one of the tracks. One of the tracks is Michael McDonald, who's
Oh,
playing organ and piano and doing some background vocals.
mm-hmm.
I think that's about it. Otherwise, it's just band members.
Do you have
Mike
any?
Finnegan, great Mike Finnegan, who passed away recently, who was in my band years ago for quite a while, is on it. Yeah, there's no other per se names on it. They're just a really great musician.
Is John Cimavatore still playing with you?
Johnny?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's been with me. He's been with me nearly 50 years.
Wow. Often, Dave, I share, there's a performance of Dear Mr. Fantasy that you did that I'm sure you hear a lot of comments on, that's out there on YouTube. I forget where it's recorded at, but YouTube just tear it up. And that's one of my favorite YouTube plays that I share several times a year on my personal channel, because I think that's probably one of the best performances of that song ever done. It's just you two on there and you're trading it back and forth. And fortunately, even at that Hiwassee College show, it was virtually the same kind of performance that you guys did there. And I mean, to me, that's probably one of the stand-up songs and stand-up performances of rock and roll. And I mean that with all sincerity.
Thank you.
I look forward to hearing it again in Knoxville in April. So that's cool. What's when it comes to the blues, though, what are you seeing in the blues today that either turns you on or turns you off as someone who was turned on to the blues early in your career, early in your youth? What do you like and dislike about the blues that you're hearing today?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, because I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't keep up with what is current at all. I mean, if I'm going to play, if I listen to the blues, I'm playing, my favorites, Elmore James, or
Understand
Lightning Hopkins, or I'm putting blues records on. It's what I'm doing. So I have no idea. I mean, there's some great guitar players out there, like Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious about the blues thing, and push and keeping it alive. So and like I said, there's a lot of players out there. I mean, strictly blues stuff, I don't really know. In all honesty, I know it's something weird to say it, but I don't keep up with what's going on.
There's almost too much to keep up with, even, I try to, and I fail at it, but
I just, I'm not gonna, the trends I don't really care about. I mean, I just like good music. I mean, blues is just one form of music for me. I mean, I embrace a lot of stuff.
yeah.
So, but when it comes to, I mean, you gravitate towards the blues because I'm essentially a guitar player.
Right.
That's what I was, singing and writing just sort of came along as part of the program.
Right.
So,
Right. You
but guitars, that's what I get off on. Let's put it that way. When I'm out touring, I mean, I like playing.
do you trade any guitars with Joe? Did you rob
Other
from
than
his
what's
collection at all?
Oh, actual guitars?
Yeah, actual
Are you talking
guitars from his collection.
Oh, no. I'm sure he ain't letting anything go anyway. So
Yeah,
I got enough guitars. You only play one at a time, So
there you go. There you go. Well,
I've never been a collector. I probably should have done if I'd have known the stupid prices people are paying for stuff.
boy, yeah. Well, a few years ago, Clapton auctioned off all of his famous ones, and came away with a few million for his addiction treatment center there in Antigua. But
Yeah.
beautiful guitars. One thing I was wanting to ask you about, mention to you about the album, there's a bunch of good blues labels out there. I was wondering if you talked to people like Mike Zito or any of those guys about their labels and carrying your new album on there. I'm sure they would love to have you.
Well, it's either probably going to come. This track is off the album and it's on Joe's label.
Ah, okay. There you go. Well, cool. Then that would be the most logical one to work with. Then
it'll probably finish up going out there, or I don't know yet at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, because we just released that one track. But he's on a great version of. But he's also, like I said, I've got him on an original song on there called "Use It or Lose It" that I did with him, 18 years ago.
Cool.
at my home, and then there's a real cool, because I have a version of Low Spark of High Heel Boys that I do, but it's very bluesy. So Joe does that with me as well.
Very cool.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, about your tour, what can fans expect on the tour coming up next year? And where, you're going to be hitting here in Knoxville. I'm going to be hitting, and ironically, Joe's going to be in about 2 weeks before you are. I've interviewed for him for that, and his interview will post probably around the same time as yours does, just before both shows. So, but for you and for fans that would be coming to see you at all your various stops, what can we expect?
Well, it's traffic jam. I'm just out there trying, keeping doing my little thing, keep the legacy of Traffic alive. I mean, I was there for the 2 original albums, which they sort of deigned to remove me from the covers in the U.S. But I wrote half of the 2 albums, and of course, and wrote their biggest hit. Not here in the U.S., but their first biggest hit in Europe, which was sort of very much at the time, it's kind of a Lewis Carroll nursery rhyme kind of song, Holding My Shoe. So basically that, we have a number of Traffic songs, and I share them with the band that does something, because right now in the band, we also have, who played with me 30 years ago, was part of my band, is Mark Stein, is now part of.
Oh, I've talked to Mark.
The band from Vanilla Fudge.
Yep. Great guy.
Mark sings his ass off. So he's got a couple of Traffic songs he's doing. I think John is going to be doing a couple. Maybe Empty Pages from the Barleycorn album. We do Fantasy, of course, is on the set, and Low Spark. Feeling All Right, of course, is always in the set.
Yep.
Which is originally Traffic. So it'll be a mixture of my stuff and Traffic tunes, little history, and then we if we're called back for an encore at the end of the show, which usually happens, we throw in You Keep Me Hanging On, which Mark does.
Oh wow, I
have to do it because he's in the band. I mean, and besides that, it's just a great tune to play live.
Well, yeah, it is. So, I mean, to see you guys together, man, that's worth the price of admission right there. If all you did was come out and did one song together, the history behind you guys to do that, I think it would be worth the price of admission. I'm curious, Dave. you've been behind some great music, and a lot of people have covered your music. What
Mhm.
of all your songs, I'd be curious to know what's your favorite story about any of those songs that either is behind the song or that fans have told you that as far as the impact of your songs on them. Do you have a story or two that you go back to and share from time to time?
No, really. You'd have to ask my wife about that question because she's face to face with the fans every night out at the merch table.
Good. Well, I look
So
forward to meeting her there.
she
Well, I
gets
know.
all those responses, which evidently I guess people, here the big. I think one of the biggest ones ever is I years ago in the '70s I did a Toys for Tots in Atlanta, Georgia,
Mhm.
and they actually gave me the key to the city that night.
Wow.
Um, Andrew Young was mayor,
Mhm.
and but it was a Toys for Tots, and I was standing by the side of the stage waiting to go on, and a Marine came up to me and he said, he said, I got to tell you a story. He said, me and a buddy were stuck in a foxhole for 3 days, and he said, if it hadn't have been for the Hendrix tape and your tape, we'd have gone fucking nuts. So you just make the music, and I'll be here to protect that. That's probably one of the best stories ever.
That's very cool. Well, I'm sure most fans know, but not everybody. You're responsible for Hendrix hearing along the Watchtower, are you not?
No, I'm not responsible for it. And we were just together. We went over to some friend's apartment to hear they had an advanced copy of John Wesley Harding.
Mhm.
So we were like, yeah, great, new Dylan album. Let's go listen. When I was thinking it was probably one Sunday afternoon.
Mm.
So I guess something caught his ear with that song, and we were in the studio a few days later recording it.
Very cool. Very cool. What else is on your radar? I think I saw something about a book you've got coming out next year. What's the story behind
Yeah,
that?
I got badgered into doing a book. I got pestered into it. It's between the fans and my wife. So we finally, it's been, gosh, just over 2 years. I have somebody who wrote it. 3 years. So I had somebody finally that stepped up that wanted to help. Mostly a man named Chris Epting who's done a number of music books, but for me, mostly it was for somebody that was going to do the research because you asked me, have asked me when, what, where. I'm like, I don't know when,
Sometime back
what,
there.
where. I kind of remember the moment, but and I didn't keep a diary. So somebody had to do a lot of research, times, places, and he was very helpful with that and some of the writing with how it was put together. So we are like everything else at this point. We're self-publishing it. It
Oh,
was being published by BMG actually, and then BMG decided that they were no longer in the book business. Period. So
yeah. Yeah, I've
so
heard.
we've elected to publish it ourselves, which I found is kind of a tedious and expensive proposition. I mean, I have to pay to get my own lyrics back from the publishers. I have to pay for photographs that I'm in. So it's and who did what, and who wrote it. It's I got to. It's all the details go into putting it together. Otherwise, hopefully, it's pretty much done. I'm just trying to get some photographs cleared.
Mm-hmm.
I had the last one. I've got something. Finally got clearance on pictures from one of them's been on all over the web, I think, occasionally anyway. But from Linda Eastman, Linda McCartney,
Mm-hmm.
who came to the Traffic Cottage stuff. I mean, before she married Paul. So there's traffic pictures, and and then there's a classic one of me and Hendrix when she was with us.
Cool.
So I've been trying to get those pictures cleared, and I just finally got the ones with from the traffic ones and the pictures of me with McCartney doing "Listen to What the Man Said" in the studio.
Very
So
cool.
they're all trying to put all the places where I grew up, because I'm trying to put. There's a lot of photographs in the book.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Hopefully. But they go in with the story. Then I haven't done that, group them all together. You got to
Right.
go to the middle of the book to see what I'm just
To
talking
see it,
about.
you're right. I don't like that. I like seeing it as the story's been told. So for old guys like me, I need it that simple,
Hang on. I got to turn that off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So was there any particular surprise that came out of a surprise to you in putting this book together and working on it? Was there something like, holy crap, I forgot all about that, or something about the process that was a big surprise to you?
Well, it's like everybody, accused on about my. I'm somewhat of a Walter Mitty sort of musical existence. There's a lot of stuff that I've been on that they're not just tracks that were there, they've been part of, some like Watchtower and Listen to What the Man Said, Street Fighting Man. Been some classic stuff. So I've been on a lot of, not to mention my own career, and then Traffic. And then Feeling All Right has been covered by everybody and their grandmother. And it still
a
is.
movie or two, so.
And it still is. So it's, and they still haven't put me in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Don't even get me started on that. That's a travesty. The organization is a travesty in my mind, and I have friends in there, but no.
I think they're trying to regroup somewhat. But anyway, I digress. So I don't really think about it, but when it's all put together like that, then I have to go, shit, did I do that? That? Yes, yeah, I did.
Well, I know
Otherwise,
I know for me, when I'm channel surfing on satellite radio and I come across, I can't ever go through all my presets without coming across about 5 to 10 people I've interviewed. And for me as an interviewer, it's a thrill to say, wow, I actually got to talk to people that I listened to growing up. I can only imagine for you hearing the song and you say, yeah, man, I was in that. And that's pretty dang cool. That's got to be just, regardless of where it lands in your pocketbook or credits or anything like that, to know that you had an integral part of that song has to be the coolest feeling in the world.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you for all of that, man. That's just, I can't listen to the radio without hearing something you've been on. And it's such a thrill always to talk to you.
Just to go touch on the book again. We are working on, I'm trying to get this. My wife wants to get it out for my birthday, May 10th. And you can pre-order it on the website, davemasonmusic.com.
Oh,
so cool. If anybody's interested, you can do that. But anyway, that's when we're trying to get the book out. And hopefully this the new album, if it doesn't come out, will be at the shows, called A Shade of Blues. So that's the stuff that's that's the current things.
Very cool. Well, Hal, I know you get asked this all the time, but I'm going to ask you to see to kind of gauge where you're at today on it. Next time you'll be somewhere else on it. Is how do you want to be remembered, and what do you hope your legacy is?
I don't know. I just, I hope, I strive to, I try to leave things in a better place than I found them,
Well, you've certainly done that. And Dave, I want to thank you again for the time, but also for all the years of phenomenal music, man. You take up such a huge chunk of musical real estate on the soundtrack of my youth and the songs that make my ears perk up and make me want to hit repeat. It's a pleasure to be able to thank you personally for that, because without it, man, music would have been a lot more boring than it was. You put a lot of greatness to it, a lot of excitement. And it's a pleasure and an honor to talk to you for a third time. I look forward to seeing you in concert for a third time. And, if you let me, I'll come backstage and bump elbows and say hi to you. And hopefully you can sign something for me if it's available
Sure.
at the table, especially the book. I want the book. So,
Be great. Thanks.
All right, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe and well. Take care.
You have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.